Tonight, Friday Night SmackDown takes place once again from the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida, inside the WWE Thunderdome on Fox. And one match that has been announced for tonight's show is Murphy facing off against King Corbin in a rematch from last week's edition of SmackDown. Now, of course, last week Murphy defeated King Corbin in a singles match on last Friday's show, but it looks like we're going to get a rematch tonight. First of all, before we get into what's going on here, to be honest, who cares? I mean, really, who cares? I know that might seem a bit redundant that I say that and I'm making a video about it, but unfortunately you need to go and talk about the things that have been announced for tonight's show. Nevertheless, is this really a storyline or match that anyone really cares about? They've announced it like this is going to hook viewers in. How are we going to make sure that people watch tonight's episode of SmackDown on Fox? I know, let's announce Murphy versus King Corbin. I mean, why? Why? No one watched that match last week and said, you know what, I could watch that again. It's the rematch culture of WWE strikes again, and it's just, I mean, it's never ending, isn't it? And it's this Murphy and Mysterio storyline, like he's the son-in-law, brother-in-law deal, now he's dating Aaliyah Mysterio. It's just a continuation of the Seth Rollins Mysterio storyline, and I think everyone's just a bit tired of it at this point. The idea of having the Mysterio family on TV is an interesting concept, and I'm not totally against that. If anything, I think it's quite refreshing and quite interesting. It adds a whole new dynamic to Rey Mysterio, adds a different version to his character. Obviously, all the time we have watched Rey Mysterio throughout his career, it says the underdog, and then as the legend, and now it says the father. That's interesting, and with the rise of Dominic Mysterio, I like that. But this whole like family soap opera element is just too much. It's just too much, isn't it? I think WWE has this real problem, and they've done it for years and years at this point, is when Vince McMahon gets into a story and it's a soap opera story, he goes so soap opera that it's over the top. And on the very rare occasion it's worked, this isn't an occasion where it's worked. It's long, it's drawn out. As I mentioned, it's the continuation of the Seth Rollins Mysterio storyline. It's like an aftermath of that, like an epilogue of that. And it just doesn't hook me. It just doesn't hook me. The story here at the moment is, can Murphy be trusted in the family? Is he trusted by the entire family? Is he just using Aaliyah Mysterio? What's the situation? And there have been rumours going on a while, and to be honest, I think this is probably where it's going to end up. There have been rumours that now Murphy is dating Aaliyah Mysterio. We're going to get a wedding. We're going to get a wedding at some point. There's going to be more tension of Dominic and Rey saying to Aaliyah, I don't know if I trust him, and Murphy pushing Aaliyah away or taking Aaliyah away from her family and trying to convey to her that her family are just jealous or they don't know what they're talking about. And then eventually this will end with Murphy proposing to Aaliyah, and then we're going to have a wedding on Fox. And look, first of all, the angle, the whole Aaliyah Mysterio dating Murphy is really creepy. Regardless of how long this goes on, I think WWE had hoped that because Aaliyah is 18 years old and Murphy is 32, there's a 14-year age gap there. I think WWE hoped that eventually fans or the viewer watching at home would kind of become numb to it, and the creepiness would sort of subside and you would sort of get used to it, you would adjust. That just hasn't been the case for me. I don't know about you. You can let me know in the comment section, but that hasn't been the case for me. It still is totally creepy. It's just bizarre. I don't know how Rey Mysterio puts up with it. I really don't. He must be like, this is so weird. It's so creepy and so just, you feel awkward watching it, and not in a good way. I know like TV and pro wrestling, it's meant to evoke an emotion, and evoking an emotion from an audience is good. Evoking an emotion from the viewer at home is good, and it shows you that you're doing your job properly, but there is a certain type of emotion you are trying to evoke. Not this creepy, I've got to turn this off and maybe ring the police because this is so disturbing. Nevertheless, if they do go through with a wedding, which I do think they probably will, that will do big numbers. Why? It's this weird phenomenon when it comes to pro wrestling. Pro wrestling weddings do wow. I don't know why. It's kind of a weird Vince Russoism, I don't know. But for whatever reason, every time you announce that there is a wedding in pro wrestling, it just does really well. It does really well in terms of the rating. The segment itself might be a total disaster and awful. I mean, what was the last wedding we saw? The Lana Bobby Lashley wedding? And was that New Year's Eve or New Year's Day? I mean, it was nearly a year ago at this point. That, as we know, was awful, and you had Liv Morgan come out and Rusev come out the cake and all that kind of stuff. Nevertheless, it did a big number for Raw. It nearly did like 2.5 million viewers, which for Raw is huge. It's massive. So I have no doubt in my mind if they did a wedding angle between Murphy and Aaliyah, it would do great numbers. I mean, the angle itself and the segment itself would probably be horrifically disturbing, but it would do big numbers, and I'm sure that's what WWE is thinking here. I think the story will be, if I had to try and guess this whole Murphy Mysterio storyline, I would probably suggest that the story here is that Murphy turns on the family. It's eventually revealed that he used the young, naive girl to progress his career and try and elevate himself into the main event, or infiltrate the inner sanctums of the Mysterio family, and then he can possibly say it's the same way that he used Seth Rollins as his disciple to try and get all the information that he could and progress his career and progress up the card in WWE, and he used the Mysterio family for the same purpose. He's a leech, and he's trying to suck the life out of everyone, right? Maybe that's the case when it comes to the Murphy storyline, or perhaps this is all a ploy. And before I actually say this suggestion, I really hope it's not the case, but perhaps this is all a ploy, and Murphy is using the family, and he's infiltrated the family, and they will all be revealed to be part of a master plan by Seth Rollins when the Friday Night Messiah, the SmackDown Savior, returns in 2021. Of course, Seth Rollins is currently out of WWE right now. He's on paternity leave. Seth Rollins is readying Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is readying to give birth any day now, really. So Seth Rollins is on paternity leave as they welcome the first child to their family. So he is expected to return, though, in January of 2021, probably by the time of the Royal Rumble. So perhaps this whole Murphy infiltrating the Mysterio family is all a ploy by Seth Rollins. Maybe he's just playing chess. While the Mysterios are playing checkers, Seth Rollins is playing chess with the family. Maybe that's the case there. I don't know. I really hope that's not the case, because I want the Seth Rollins and Mysterio storyline to die and never come back. I don't want that to see that ever again. Not that I have anything against Seth Rollins or the Mysterios. I'm a big fan of them both. But that storyline went on for way too long. It was, I mean, the fact that we're still dealing with an aftermath of that story now is painful enough. So I really don't want to have Seth Rollins come back and then start dealing with the Mysterios again. I want him to go on to someone else, face someone else. There's loads of other people on SmackDown to face. Daniel Bryan, get involved with Roman Reigns. I don't know, just not the Mysterios. So hopefully that isn't the case. Also as well, when it comes to Rey and Dominic, I know Rey had the triceps injury that I think he's recovered from now because he had the match with Corbin, ironically. I want him to start teaming up with Dominic again. In the summer, once Dominic started having matches and he started teaming up with Rey, there was a lot of hope that, okay, not only is Rey going to move on and have a different feud than Seth Rollins, and is Dominic going to move on and have different matches then against Seth Rollins or Murphy, we were then hoping, okay, Rey and Dominic, they're going to become a tag team on Raw. Of course, now they've been drafted to SmackDown. They were drafted as a team. So why don't Rey Mysterio and Dominic go after the tag team titles? I think that's what everyone wants them to do. SmackDown desperately needs tag teams. I don't want to see the Street Profits versus Nakamura and Cesaro 500 million times that we already have. So new tag teams are needed, and facing off against the Street Profits would be a lot of fun. I know tag team wrestling isn't important in WWE. I've just done a video a minute ago talking about the Rascals and them signing with WWE and being involved in NXT, and part of the problem there is being that tag team wrestling just isn't important and isn't featured in WWE. It should be, and I hope that if you had someone like Rey Mysterio involved with Dominic, it would be a featured storyline, it'd be in a featured position, and tag team wrestling might actually mean something. And I know that obviously the tag team champions right now, the Street Profits, they're a babyface tag team. The worry might be, well, you've got two babyface tag teams facing off there. Who cares? We started off this video saying who cares? Who cares if they're two babyface tag teams? If the matches is good, if the matches are good, then it could be, then why not? Why not? I don't have a problem at all with seeing Rey and Dominic Mysterio face the Street Profits. If anything, it'd be a fantastic match. And that's all that really matters, right? If it's a fantastic match, then that's all that really matters. If it entertains the audience and it has tag team wrestling in a feature position, absolutely, I'm all for it. And you could absolutely have a main event of SmackDown of the Street Profits versus Rey and Dominic Mysterio. You could absolutely have a match at the Royal Rumble, or even if they want to save it for WrestleMania, a WrestleMania tag team match between the Street Profits and the Mysterios. Have that WrestleMania moment be Rey and Dominic Mysterio winning the tag team championships. That's unbelievable, right? Father and son winning the tag team titles. So they should be teaming up more. They should be going after the tag team championships. I mean, Rey Mysterio, if you want to talk about SmackDown, of course, Rey Mysterio has a huge history of SmackDown. He was Mr. SmackDown for all those years, and then he started to go back and forth between the brands. But Rey Mysterio, especially on tag teams, has a huge history on SmackDown, right? He was he was part of that initial SmackDown WWE Tag Team Championship picture back in the early 2000s with Los Guerreros and Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. He then was a tag team with Eddie Guerrero. He's a tag team with RVD on SmackDown. He has been involved in tag teams multiple times on SmackDown throughout the history. So why not put him back in that position, but this time with his son, with Dominic? It makes all the sense in the world. I just hope they do that soon. As far as King Corbin, we haven't spoken about King Corbin a lot here, and rightfully so. The gimmick is dull. The gimmick is dull, and it's beyond. I mean, the phrase is "jump the shark," hasn't it? I mean, it's jump the megalodon. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I feel sorry for him. This is what I mentioned before now. When it comes to King Corbin, I used to kind of, resent the gimmick and just say, oh, it's a terrible gimmick, but he was in a featured position, so I guess that works for him. Now I just feel sorry for him. I feel so sorry for him because he desperately, desperately needs a new gimmick. The King of the Ring gimmick is so outdated as it is. Even when he became King of the Ring, it was unbelievably outdated. Now, don't get me wrong. I really like the King of the Ring tournament. It's a fantastic tournament. I wish they did it every year. I wish they brought back the King of the Ring pay-per-view. I love the King of the Ring. But the King gimmick is so outdated. It is so in the 1980s. It's outrageous. The idea that just because you win a tournament, of King of the Ring tournament, then suddenly a rational person then starts wearing a crown, a cape, and carrying around a scepter, and everyone does that every time they win the King of the Ring, is bonkers. Is absolutely bonkers. And it hasn't worked the last 3 times they've done it. They tried it for King Corbin, it didn't work. They tried it for King Barrett, it didn't work. They tried it for King Sheamus, it didn't work. The only person in modern history, and I say modern, it was like 15 years ago, in modern history that's been able to pull the whole King gimmick off was King Booker, and that's because it was the first time it was done in ages. After the Attitude Era didn't do that. It was the first time it was done in ages, and he was so over the top, and he's Booker T. He's a Hall of Famer. He can make anything work. That's why the gimmick worked. And it hasn't worked with anyone else because the gimmick is outdated and it's not needed. That's why. It's just an outdated gimmick. It doesn't need to be done anymore. And again, at this point, I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for him because he shouldn't have to do this gimmick because it's so outdated. They used to do it in the 1980s, and then this is the most baffling part of the whole King of the Ring deal. They knew in the Attitude Era that wearing the crown, wearing the cape, wearing the scepter didn't work. So in the King of the Ring, when it came to the Attitude Era, you just won a trophy or you just won bragging rights. You were the best. You were the King of the Ring, quite literally. You were the King of the Ring. You were the best in the company. You can brag that you won a tournament that has helped elevate people in their career like Kurt Angle, Triple H, etc. You could do that. They did that in the King of the Ring in the Attitude Era. They just won a big trophy, right? Why do they need to become a king? I mean, the King of the Ring gimmick is just so outdated. And at this point, King Corbin, all he does is jobs. He's the king of jobs. That's all he does. All he does is lose. In all of his recent feuds, he's lost. I know he beat Rey Mysterio a couple of weeks ago, but overall in all of these feuds, whether it's Roman Reigns or Matt Riddle or Elias or whatever he's done this year, all he's done is lose. So nobody cares. And the shame of it all is that when we were having the King of the Ring tournament where King Corbin won, he was actually getting over by winning matches and just having matches and being Baron Corbin. So why can't he go back to do that? Why can't he just be Baron Corbin, win matches and get over that way? He's been the King of the Ring for like 18 months now. It's over. It's over. As a character, you need to evolve, and this character, not only is the gimmick outdated and old, but the character now is stagnant, and he needs to do something different. Try something new. So hopefully, I know, maybe tonight's the start of that. I doubt it. I doubt it. Nevertheless, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on Murphy versus King Corbin tonight on SmackDown? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, chat about SmackDown here on the channel. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button. It really does help us out here on YouTube. Go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.